Hey everybody, Takaxo here. Let's talk about money because as much as we might like it to be otherwise, we do all kind of need it to, live in the world. And more specifically, let's talk about the $1,000 stimulus checks coming in February 2025. We're going to dive deep into this, really deep. We'll cover who's eligible, how you can check if you qualify, and all the nitty-gritty details you need to know. This isn't just some quick headline, we're going full crash course economics on this thing. So grab your notebooks, your thinking caps, maybe a snack or something, because we're about to break down everything you need to know about these stimulus checks. Let's do this thing. Okay, so first things first, why are we even getting these stimulus checks? What's the story behind them? Well, the government is giving them out to help people who are struggling financially, especially during tough times. See, sometimes the economy goes through these weird dips and dives like a roller coaster that's maybe not as fun as the ones at amusement parks. These downturns can be really challenging for everyone, and during these times people lose jobs, businesses close, and things just get, tough. It's a ripple effect that impacts many aspects of daily life. The government knows this and they want to help. They step in to try and cushion the blow for everyone affected. The idea behind stimulus checks is kind of brilliant actually. It's a direct way to get money into the hands of people who need it most. It's like this. When people have more money in their pockets, they tend to spend it. This spending helps keep businesses afloat. And when they spend money, it helps businesses, which helps create jobs, and boom, the economy starts to recover. It's a cycle that benefits everyone. It's like a jumpstart for the whole system, giving it the boost it needs to get back on track. Now, $1,000 might not seem like a lot to some people, but for others, it can be the difference between paying rent and getting evicted, or putting food on the table and going hungry. It's a lifeline. Plus, when you multiply that $1,000 by millions of people receiving it, it adds up to a huge injection of cash into the economy. It's a massive collective impact. And that, my friends, is what we call stimulus. It's designed to stimulate economic activity. Of course, there are always going to be debates about whether stimulus checks are the most effective way to help the economy. Opinions vary widely on this topic. Some people argue that it's better to focus on things like infrastructure spending or tax cuts for businesses. They believe these methods might offer more sustainable growth. But regardless of where you stand on that issue, one thing is clear. These stimulus checks are going to make a real difference in the lives of millions of people. They provide immediate relief. So let's move on to the big question. Are you one of them? Let's find out. Stay tuned as we dive into the details. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. Who exactly qualifies for these $1,000 stimulus checks? The short answer is, it depends. The government has set some specific criteria, and unfortunately, not everyone will be eligible. Don't worry though, we're going to break it all down. First and foremost, you need to be a US citizen or a permanent resident. That means you need to have the legal right to live and work in the United States. Sorry, no international viewers this time. But hey, if you're watching this from another country, maybe check and see if your government is doing something similar. Next up, your income plays a big role in determining your eligibility. The government wants to make sure the money goes to those who need it most. So there's an income cap. What that cap is, well, that's a number that's still being finalized as of the making of this video. But don't worry, we'll keep you updated. Just make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell turned on. Now, if you're someone who's been hit hard by the economic downturn and your income has dropped significantly, you're more likely to qualify. The government is looking at things like job losses, reduced work hours, and other factors that might have impacted your financial situation. They want to make sure that the people who are hurting the most get the help they need. It's all about targeting the relief efforts where they'll have the biggest impact. So to sum it up, you need to be a US citizen or permanent resident, and your income needs to fall below a certain threshold. If you meet those basic requirements, you're well on your way to potentially qualifying for a stimulus check. But hold on, there's more. We haven't even talked about families and dependents yet. Don't worry, we'll get there. For now, just let all this information sink in. Take a moment to review your own situation and see where you stand. Remember, staying informed is the first step to getting the help you need. Alright family folks, this chapter is for you. If you've got kids or other dependents relying on you, listen up, because the stimulus check situation gets even more interesting. The good news is that families with dependents may be eligible to receive additional funds. That's right, more money to help cover the costs of raising a family in these, shall we say, interesting times. The amount you could receive for each dependent will depend on the final details of the stimulus package, but it's definitely something to keep in mind as you're figuring out your potential eligibility. Now, when it comes to family eligibility, there are a few things the government will be looking at. First, just like with individual eligibility, your household income is a major factor. They'll be setting an income cap for families, and the more dependents you have, the higher that cap is likely to be. It makes sense, right? More mouths to feed, more expenses to cover. They'll also be looking at the number of dependents you have and their ages. There might be different eligibility requirements for children under a certain age, for example. And just like with individual eligibility, they'll be taking into account any changes in your family's financial situation due to the economic downturn. So, if you've recently had a child, or if your spouse has lost their job, make sure you factor that in when you're assessing your eligibility. The whole point of this stimulus package is to provide relief to those who need it most, and families are definitely feeling the pressure in these uncertain times. So, if you're part of a family with dependents, don't assume you won't qualify for extra help. Okay, so you've watched the video this far, you've done the mental math, and you're pretty sure you qualify for a stimulus check. Congratulations. But now you're probably wondering, how do I actually get my hands on this money? Well, fear not, my friend, because the application process is designed to be as straightforward as possible. In fact, for many people, there won't be an application process at all. That's right, you heard me correctly. If you've filed your taxes recently and set up direct deposit with the IRS, you might not have to do a thing. The government already has your information, and they'll just deposit the money directly into your account. It's like magic, but with less glitter and more financial relief. Now, if you haven't filed your taxes recently, or if you prefer to receive your payment by mail, don't worry, there will be options for you too. The IRS will be setting up a dedicated website where you can check your eligibility, update your information, and track the status of your payment. They'll also be providing clear instructions on how to apply for a stimulus check if you need to. The key here is to stay informed. Keep an eye out for announcements from the IRS, and make sure you're getting your information from reliable sources. There's going to be a lot of information flying around, especially online, and you don't want to fall for any scams or misinformation. Stick to official government websites and reputable news outlets. So, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the purpose of the stimulus checks, who's eligible, and how to apply. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a few extra tips to make sure you receive your payment as smoothly as possible. Think of these as bonus points, or maybe just some friendly advice from your favorite YouTube know-it-all. First and foremost, make sure your tax information is up to date. This is crucial. The IRS will be using your most recent tax return to determine your eligibility and calculate your payment amount. So if you've moved recently, changed bank accounts, or had any other major life changes, make sure the IRS has your current information. You can update your information online, by mail, or by phone. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? Second, double-check your eligibility. Even if you think you know whether or not you qualify, it never hurts to double-check. The IRS website will have a handy eligibility tool that you can use to confirm your status. It only takes a few minutes, and it could save you a lot of headache and heartache down the line. Plus, it's always good to be absolutely sure, especially when it comes to money. Third, don't be afraid to follow up with the IRS if you encounter any issues. Look, I know dealing with government agencies isn't always the most fun experience, but sometimes it's necessary. If you're having trouble applying for a stimulus check, or if you haven't received your payment when you think you should have, don't hesitate to reach out to the IRS. They're there to help, even if it doesn't always feel like it. And finally, be patient. I know easier said than done, right? But remember, millions of people are going to be trying to access information and apply for these stimulus checks. There are bound to be some delays and hiccups along the way. Just take a deep breath, remind yourself that you're not alone in this, and try to stay calm. Remember, patience is key, and staying informed will help you navigate this process more smoothly. So, keep these tips in mind and you'll be well on your way to a smooth stimulus experience. Good luck, and take care. And that's it for today's deep dive into the world of stimulus checks. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to navigating the sometimes confusing world of personal finance. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on financial news and tips. We've got a lot more to talk about, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or need further clarification on the stimulus checks. And as always, stay curious, stay informed, and stay awesome.